Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 132 of Rush Roundtable. This is called Great Take or Let's Debate. So this was borrowed / stolen from Colin Cowherd, the sportscaster. Whenever I see good ideas on sports shows that I watch, I try to evolve them, into a Rush Roundtable episode. So how this is going to work is Eric is the moderator. Eric is the one who will provide a take / hot take. These are all his opinions. And the six of us up top, Ryder, Todd, Alex, Adam, myself, and Nick, will either say great take and we move on to the next person, or we say let's debate and we will briefly debate Eric as to why we think his opinion sucks. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Eric and we're going to get to it. Go ahead.
All right, let's get started. And of course, all of my takes, all of my opinions are correct. And if you feel differently while you're watching, leave a comment and then I can tell you why you're wrong in the comments. So let's get it started with maybe the one that I'm most passionate about. Grace Under Pressure Live is the best live album. Ryder?
Great take.
Thank you. Don?
I got to say great take too.
Alex?
Let's debate. Mainly because I love Grace Under Pressure, but I'm also diehard Power Windows. So missing that kind of hurts. But I'll leave it at for the time. Yes. Now, I do not think so.
Interesting. So is there a live album released after Grace Under Pressure Live you would take?
Time Machine. 100% without question.
That would be a close second for me. Close second, I'll admit. Adam?
Let's debate. I'm definitely partial to a show of hands. I think Neil's drum solo had really evolved well by that point, and he kind of he put in everything that he then kind of took to future concerts. And I think that it just, having Power Windows and Hold Your Fire as well gave some really great moments in that concert.
I'd agree with the drum solo, but I'd have to say the set list and the mix quality on Grace Under Pressure Live were way better than a show of hands, because you get a decent amount of the synth songs on Grace Under Pressure Live, but you get 2112, you get YYZ, you get In the Mood and Finding My Way, whereas a show of hand, it's really synth heavy, which synths are great, but as a part of a concert, as a live album, I really want everything.
Yeah, and I can see that. But for me, I love the synths. That's my bread and butter. And for me, show of hands, mixed quality for a live thing, I'm not super picky about because I know it's live, and I love the energy that they bring to that show. So.
Yeah, that's fair. Ryan?
I'm going to say let's debate. I do agree with Goji that it was probably the best when it came out. I think it's better than Exit Stage Left, but I will also agree with Goji that I would probably have to pick Time Machine. I think you got the best of everything. I mean, I think it's really kind of the last live album that Geddy sounds pretty solid on. Like, he's not great anymore at that point, but he sounds really good. Great mix of songs. And, just the entire performance, stage setup, everything was. Time Machine is just killer.
And that's the main tipping point for me is Geddy sounds good on Time Machine, but on Grace Under Pressure, like aside from the fact that I was at Grace Under Pressure Live, Geddy just sounds so good in Grace Under Pressure Live. Like I think that's like his peak vocal performance was during that concert. So that's the tipping point for me.
That's fair.
Nick?
Yeah, big debate. So Grace Under Pressure is like not even top five, like not even close. So if you want that
Wow.
set list, you're going Time Machine Tour because Grace Under Pressure Live's 10 songs long. If you want sound quality, literally everything recorded after 1985 is better because it just is. Sorry, especially Snakes and Arrows. I'm going with that. Snakes and Arrows live sound quality phenomenal. I was at that concert too, and Time Machine, the one they recorded.
Actually, you were actually there.
I was actually at the Time Machine Tour concert, and let me tell you, all right, I was in that audio.
I was there too.
Okay?
I was there too.
Okay. And if you want energy, I'm sorry, the best Rush live album is Rush in Rio. I'm sorry, you cannot debate that 50,000 screaming Brazilians forming mosh pits practically is not the best energy. Grace Under Pressure is 10 songs long. A very okay mix. I'll give you Getty's voice sounded good. Some good songs on it, but missing a whole lot of bangers. And visually has a weird glaze, like it's just a weird like glaze, and I don't know. So yeah, man, I appreciate Grace Under Pressure live. I do. I get why you like it. It's got a sentimental point in my heart because I do enjoy it, but not even top five.
Well, you're allowed to be wrong. Next take. So Getty's Hair in the mid 80s, so I'm talking Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, is way better than it was in the late 80s and early 90s. So I'm thinking the mullet of Grace Under Pressure and Power Windows way better than the ponytail thing during Presto and Roll the Bones. What do you think, Ryder?
Oh, geez. I rock that Getty ponytail a lot, so it's gonna be really hypocritical if I debate. But I'm gonna have to take that L. Let's debate it. Yeah, I mean, I think that the raccoon hat was a very good look for Getty. I mean, especially for the time period. But I think the ponytail, I don't know, it kind of represented a big shift in everything. Because I mean, like, you're coming out of the synth era, so it's less about big flashiness, and then you kind of start getting into the more heavier stuff of Counterparts, and eventually, like during the Counterparts tour, I think that's when he took out the ponytail and wore it how he'd eventually wear it through the rest of Rush's career. But I don't know, I like the ponytail a lot. I think it just looks slick. In all the Presto live videos that you can find, I think it looks really good through that. And yeah, I mean, once again, both haircuts are great for the times that they were in, but I think overall I prefer the ponytail.
I think the ponytail makes him look like that dorky bass player that sits in the corner and doesn't do anything, not the kick-ass bass player that's doing everything at once. But it's okay.
True.
Whatever.
Yeah.
John?
So even though raccoon hat is my favorite Rush era, I got to go with ponytail. So great take. Do I have that reversed? Is that what you said? Ponytail was better?
Oh yeah, but no. The raccoon,
Okay.
Raccoon mullet is much better. Yes.
Oh, okay. Then let's debate. Ponytail's way better.
Well, hold on. Time out though. So raccoon mullet hair was Hold Your Fire, and that was it.
Either two.
No,
either
Power
the
Windows.
Either the mullet-
Power Windows.
Because he
Either
has
the
the
mullet-
ponytail.
Yeah, but Power Windows, it was a little more fluffy, like on the sides and such, right? So
It's still the same like general idea.
Either the
I
mullet
guess.
or the raccoon. I like both of those way better than just like the slicked back ponytail.
okay, well, fine. All right, then that I just wanted to clarify that. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the ponytail better.
Why?
Like I was saying, it's my favorite Rush era. I love the photos that are taken of the band where he's got the raccoon hat, but I just think Getty looked better with the ponytail.
Is
It's
that a
not my
90s
favorite.
thing?
It's way far from my favorite Getty look. That's later in the 90s, but if I had to choose between those two.
Okay. Alex?
Great take.
Thank you. Adam?
Great take.
Awesome. Ryan?
Great take.
And Nick?
I'd love to debate you, but your boy tried to rock the 1996 look at the Time Machine tour. This was the concert they recorded. So I'm going to say great take.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving right along. So there are 8 songs on the debut album. What You're Doing is in the bottom 3. Ryder?
Oh, geez. Okay. I'm trying to think about the debut album. I mean, you got some stinkers on there.
So if you're here,
no, let's debate. Let's debate that. Let's debate that.
Here's what I've got ahead of it.
Oh, what do you have to say? What do you have to say?
Working Man, Here Again, Before and After, Finding My Way, and In the Mood. I would put all ahead of What You're Doing. Which makes Need Some Love and Take a Friend below it.
I think, well, because I'm thinking about What You're Doing in the context of R40 Live and like all the other live versions, because that is incredible. Upon further thinking about this, I'm going to say Great Take, because the one thing that I do not like about the studio version of What You're Doing is the vocals. They're panned in different ears, but one of them's on a delay. So like you hear it here first and then overhear it just a little bit later. Super disorienting. So I'm going to say Great Take if we're talking about the studio release.
I am. Yes. Todd?
Yeah, so Great Take.
Great Take.
Alex?
Great Take on the same grounds as Writers.
Adam?
Great Take.
Ryan?
So let me just, every single one of them said Great Take. You said What You're Doing is in the bottom 3?
Yes.
No, absolutely not. Let's debate. I mean, Need Some Love is worse. Take a Friend is way, way worse.
Yes.
Like you said. In the Mood is cheesy and way worse. And Before and After is worse.
No.
To me, the debut album is 4 and 4. There's 4 excellent songs and there's 4. I'll never use the term garbage in terms of Rush, but definitely very low on the scale of quality Rush songs. And there's the 4 that I just said are the down here. And then What You're Doing is, I like What You're Doing.
Before and After is such a unique song on the debut album. There's nothing like
it. It's way better than Need Some Love and Take a Friend.
Okay.
But yeah, let's debate. So no, I disagree with you.
But In the Mood is so much more fun to listen to than What You're Doing. That's Southern blues rock.
It's not even. Come on, at this point with the massive catalog that we have, it's not even really a Rush song. It's a 70s rock.
Okay, so then neither is What You're Doing, and it's a little bit below In the Mood.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
All right, Nick.
So the only reason I can't put my bottom 3 is I forgot Before and After is even on that album.
You forgot.
There you go.
I forgot that song even exists. So it's not a good song.
Go back and listen to it again. You'll probably put it above What You're Doing.
No, I definitely wouldn't. I got to actually see What You're Doing live. I'm sorry, bro, but no, I don't know if it's in the bottom 3. I'm gonna be honest with you. That album's just about half that album's like bottom 4. How about that? So I'd say What You're Doing is bottom 4.
Okay, I'll
only because Before and After exists. Totally forgot, just like I did the last time that song came on the podcast I was on. So
I'll take the compromise, I suppose. I think I'll get a little bit more love with this next one. The Fountain of Lamneth and The Necromancers, both of them, not just one, both of them. They're good songs. They're not just like the Growing Pain songs that people say that Rush had to record to get to 2112. Ryder?
Great Take.
John?
Great Take.
Alex?
Great Take.
Adam?
Great Take.
Ryan?
Great Take with an asterisk. So they're great songs now. At the time, they were Growing Pain songs. Does that make any sense?
Kind of, yeah.
Like they were necessary to get to 2112, so they were kind of Growing Pains, but looking back on it, yeah, I think they're great.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. Nick?
I'll say Great Take. I stood up for that album, so Great Take.
Good. Look at that.
Gotta represent the rest of Steel here.
Board.
Here's another popular one before we get into the spicy stuff. If Garden Road were written by Led Zeppelin, It would be a hit on the scale of Immigrant Song or Black Dog. Ryder.
Okay. Oh, Garden Road. Was not expecting that. I think Garden Road should have been on the debut album, or I don't know when it was written, but it should have been on a Rush album. I'm just trying to picture the song with Robert Plant delivery. I think it'd be a very good song. Okay, let's debate. I think if Led Zeppelin had written that song and they have the little bit of like Led Zeppelifying it with Robert Plant's delivery, whatever. I think it would have been a very good song, but I don't think it would have hit status like Immigrant Song, like just the big Zeppelin tunes.
Interesting. And I think you wouldn't have to change a whole lot other than the name of Led Zeppelin and it would get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Todd?
Great take.
Thank you, Alex.
I'm gonna great take, but I'm also gonna agree a little bit with Ryder. Can I like kind of in between it?
So
No.
you pick
No,
one.
damn it.
No, pick one or the other.
Well, okay, then I'll say let's debate because like I do think if Garden Road had been a Zeppelin song, it would be up like it would be. I mean, it'd probably be more known than just us, but like I can't exactly say I think it'd get like Immigrant Song level.
And I think the main driver with why I say this is because I think it's Alex's best bluesy guitar riff. So like anything 76 prior, I think that's the best riff he ever wrote. And it's never played. And I think if you get the name recognition of Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page, with that riff alone, you probably get a hit.
Yeah, but then like that also gets into that whole thing about like, would it be like them playing the same song, just like different faces, or would it be like this is like you give them the basic tune, Zeppelin goes off, does their own thing with it?
That would be interesting to see like what it would be like to Zeppelin-ify that song. But no, I think if you left the song exactly the same, I think it would be a hit.
I'll leave my answer where it stands.
Adam?
Let's debate. Very similar to Ryder and Alex, but I think I'll put one more thing. I think if we go with your premise of it staying exactly the same and just the name is swapped, I think that the average Zeppelin listener, because they already have an extensive catalog, I think the ones that have risen to the top would have still risen to the top. I think those other things are more representative of what Led Zeppelin is. And so I think that the Zeppelin fans and the general public would, maybe Garden Road may have been like, oh, here's a lesser known one that doesn't get played on the radio that often, but I don't think it would have gotten into the spotlight.
So what if it came out before some of those big hits?
I think timing would have something to do with it, but I think in the end, after all was said and done, I think that it still would have gotten overshadowed.
Okay, Ryan?
Can I phone a friend? I'm going to call Donna right now.
Okay.
I'm just kidding, guys. I do have her number, but I'm not going to bother her on a Tuesday night. No, I would say, great take. I think it would be up there. Sure.
Nick?
I tell you what would have been a big hit if Led Zeppelin record Was What You're Doing.
Or Before and After, probably, right?
That song doesn't actually exist. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I just straight up disagree with you. I mean, Garden Road's okay, but like, it would have been a B-side. Like, if you stick that song on Led Zeppelin 4, it's whatever track 6 or 7 is. I forget the ones like no one remembers that song. It'd be the one forgettable song off of Led Zeppelin 4. So it's okay. It was fun to hear the little riff at the end of R40, but yeah.
Well, I beg all of you to listen to the version from 1974 ABC. It's on Spotify. I don't know where else it's on, but
So good.
it's fantastic.
There's 176 actual Rush songs I can listen to before Garden Road.
Yeah, one was before and after.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, 175. My bad.
Oh man. Now onto the good stuff. I'm sure we're gonna have some happy people here.
Mhm.
Half the World is one of the worst songs on Test for Echo. Ryder.
Son of a bitch. Oh geez. Oh my god. This kind of stakes my whole reputation as Test for Echo defender right here.
It does.
Geez.
Let him think about it.
Nah, I got it. I don't think it's a bad song. I will agree it's one of the weaker songs on the album. So I guess on a technicality, I have to say Great Take.
Okay. Todd?
I'm going to say great take for the same reason that Ryder gave. I'm afraid if I debate it, I'll think of something later and go, oh, wait, I want to change it to great take. So I'm just going to start there.
Okay. Alex?
Great take.
Adam?
Let's debate. So you're saying it's one of the worst on the album?
Yes, I would probably say bottom 3 or 4.
Okay, still let's debate, because I think Half the World, I think Half the World and Color of Right giving an excellent, one of the high points in my opinion of the album, because it's like a folksy break, and it kind of gives it gives clarity to what the rest of the album is. It makes the rest of the album make sense, because you start off with Test for Echo and Driven, and it's this hard sound, but you kind of wonder what the heck is, like, there's a little bit of a weirdness to those two songs, but once you get Half the World and Color of Right, it like clicks, and it's like, oh, this is what they're doing. And so I think Half the World is just an excellent representation of what the entire sound of Test for Echo is.
And that's fair. It's not the musicianship or the instrumentation of Half the World that gets me. It's the lyrics and the vocal performance that bring it down for me. Now I know people say the lyrics a lot for Half the World, but like in the chorus of Half the World, where it's, like a torn up photograph. Like I hate that part. That is the worst. It has no business being there. It sucks, but whatever. Ryan, what do you think?
Let's debate. I think there are no W word songs on Test for Echo. They're all good. I think Test for Echo rocks, and we are never going to agree. So we might as well we debate this like once a week anyways offline. So we might as well just not even continue this. Next.
What do you think, Nick?
Half the World is a top 3 song on that album.
Why?
Name more top 3 songs on the album.
Driven?
In no particular order. Driven is not on. Yes, it is on Test for Echo. That's right. Well, it's still below Half the World. Anyways, no, I'm sorry. I'm putting Totem, Dog Ears, Carve Away the Stone, Time for the Break. Resist non-acoustic with all the extra instrumentation. Pretty good, but let's be real. We all listen to the acoustic live version before the album version. It's way better. And Half the World, good lyrics, love the lyrics, fantastic lyrics, wonderful, touching lyrics, great summer tune, great guitar work, love that song, great track. I also like Virtuality too. That's also a great song. Only songs better than them on that album, in my opinion, is Test for Echo itself and Limbo, which, by the way, that album will be on the boat here this coming weekend.
Let's go.
I will agree. Test for Echo is the best song off the album. Moving right along to one that I know all 6 of you will naturally agree with. Superconductor is a great song. Ryder?
Oh, great take.
Todd?
Great take.
Alex?
Great take.
Adam?
Great take.
Ryan,
Just for the sake of pissing Nick off, great take.
Nick,
Move along.
moving right along.
That song's worse than Before and After.
How could it be
Shit,
worse than something
it's-
that doesn't exist?
Because it actually exists.
Good
That's
point.
the problem. I don't.
I had to throw that in there. I had to. Couldn't resist.
It's almost as well. No, never mind.
Churn in the pot. Anyways.
Grace Under Pressure Live is a very meh album. What?
Touche. Moving right along. The Camera Eye is Getty's best bass performance. And I know it's not his most complicated bass performance, but in terms of tone, in terms of melody, in terms of an accompaniment with both the verse and the solo, I think it's his best performance. Ryder?
Oh god. I don't know, man. No, let's debate. On that same album, you got friggin' YYZ, Vital Signs. I mean, Tom Sawyer's just iconic, but like even Red Barchetta, I think Red Barchetta has a better Rick tone than Camera Eye, because I'm pretty sure Camera Eye was recorded on the Rickenbacker, not the Jazz. I mean, Limelight 2 is pretty solid. I mean, you said it yourself. It's a little bit more simple, but those songs aren't, I don't think they're better bass performances because of that extra complexity, but it just shows what Getty can do with that instrument so much better than what the Camera Eye can. Camera Eye is still a great bass performance for Getty. I think that's one of the best bass albums for him, but I think I'm going to have to say no on that one.
Okay, fair enough, Todd.
Let's debate. That's a good take, but I think Show Don't Tell is better. And if I had like an hour, I could probably come up with some more, maybe 2 or 3 more.
And that's interesting because the bass doesn't really kick in until the end of that song. So that's
Yeah, I just love when it does.
Yeah, fair enough, Alex.
I gotta debate that. I think for that exact same argument you just made, if you applied it to Witch Hunt, I would 100% agree with you. Because like I play Camera Eye a lot. It is a super fun song to play. I'll give you that bit. Like the main riff, really fun song to play. But like, it might just also be me. I don't get into it quite as much as I do when doing the simpler song that is Witch Hunt, which I still think also Camera Eye I think is the weakest song on that album. So that might also be adding to this, but I don't know.
There's 2 points against you right there. Adam?
Let's debate. For as much as everybody remembers it as a synth album, Hold Your Fire has some of the best bass performances that Getty has ever done. I mean, you've got Prime Mover, you've got this epic intro from the bass, and the nuances that he brings out with some of these bass runs, especially Time Stands Still, when you've got the second chorus there and he just has this epic descending run. It's like you could just hit the notes and be like, yay, I did it. But Getty's just the little things he does that show emotion through it, I think it just shows the track that he was on much better than on Moving Pictures. Because yes, I think the tone on Moving Pictures is incredible, and he didn't necessarily hit that same kind of tone on future albums, but I think his performance overshadows the tone in a lot of cases in these later albums.
And I'd agree that the synth era songs, a lot of them give the Camera Eye a run for its money. I just enjoy the simplistic melody that he plays through the verses. I just love it for whatever reason. Ryan?
Let's debate, and I pretty much second everything Adam said. I like some of the bass performances on Clockwork Angels and Counterparts as well. I think they're both pretty awesome. But I
like them too. They're just not as good, you know.
I don't know. We could go on about it all day, but I second what Adam said.
Okay, Nick.
What you're doing has some fantastic bass in it. I love that bass. It's good stuff.
Moving right along. So does before and after. All right, here's a good one. Getty is the third most attractive member of Rush. Ryder.
You can't put any of your homies down like that. That's tough.
That's why he's the third most. Not
Third most. Yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, which Getty are we talking about? Like
Yes.
Arrow.
yes.
Okay.
Let's not overanalyze this.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'm putting way too much thought into how hot guys are right now. I'm gonna have to say you know what, for raccoon hair, great take. God.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, great take.
Alex.
I've got a great take as well.
Thank you, Adam.
Great take.
Ryan.
I like females. I don't know what to tell you. I don't.
Doesn't mean you can't make an assessment.
I mean,
You can't make an observation and a
Alex is the most handsome. Let's put it that way. I don't.
judgment. Then who's second most handsome?
I think it's a tie at the bottom. So I guess we'll debate it.
Yeah.
And there's my debate. It's
Number
Alex
one.
and then Getty and Neil.
No. Number 1 is Neil. Number 2 is Alex, and then somewhere at number 3 is Getty.
Sure.
That's the irrefutable order. Nick.
John Rutsey was the ugliest.
Word.
And that guy must have played on What You're Doing or something.
Actually, that's a fair point. Yeah. So by my logic, John Rutsey is the third least attractive because Getty and Neil are tied at number 2.
Okay.
There you go.
Fair enough. All right, we'll do a couple more here. This one I think might ruffle some feathers, and you know, I want this to be a gut answer. Moving Pictures is not in the top 10 of Rush album covers. Ryder.
Let's debate. It's iconic. I mean, and not just for the iconic part of it, why I'm saying that it's one of the best. I mean, you have a triple entendre going on. We literally talked about this in a class that I took about Moving Pictures' album cover. Because the three of the triple entendre is there's people that are moving pictures. There are people that are crying at the pictures because the pictures are so moving. And if you flip the album over, they're literally filming a movie, a moving picture. And I think just the composition of it, the artwork that's actually on the pictures, I think it's just brilliant. So that's my debate.
We get it. Wordplay is cool. Okay, Todd, what do you think?
Let's debate for pretty much what Ryder just said, but I also think Moving Pictures represents a time when album covers and album cover concepts really mattered, and in that time, I think it's one of the best.
And I would agree, it's iconic, but I think I can name 10 better ones that for the same where the concept of the cover matches the quote unquote concept of the album.
Okay.
Alex?
Let's debate for much of the same things Ryder and Todd said, but also going under the guise that my friends who put up with me being a Rush fan, one of my friends who is also a graphic designer, I want that to be known, saw the Moving Pictures album cover and just kept staring at it because he loved it. And this guy hates whenever I put Rush on at work.
Wait till you show him the Counterparts album cover.
He liked that one too, but he just really liked Moving Pictures and also Dogs Playing Poker. I'll leave it at that. Dogs Playing Poker.
I'll give you that one, Adam.
Let's debate. I think it's just like what Ryder, Todd, and Alex have already brought up. it's not only the most iconic, but also just so well executed. But then also, I mean, if you see here, it just, I think I think from Permanent Waves.
What you do? Print out a picture and just tape it on a white T-shirt?
More or less. No, I made this like 12 years ago in preparation for the
Rush
Time
fans.
Machine tour.
In preparation for this Rush Roundtable.
Right now. No, I think from Permanent Waves up to Power Windows, I think is like the high points of the cover art. But what makes Moving Pictures, I think, at least top 3 is everything about composition for photography and for art is represented in that cover.
Interesting, Ryan.
So you are assuming that you're just mentioning the 20 studio albums, which includes feedback. Yes, that's what we're talking about here. There's not 10 better covers than Moving Pictures. So no, let's debate, and there's my reason why.
Do you want me to name the 10?
After Nick
I would
goes,
hear-
sure. Yeah, I mean,
Nick?
I don't know. I use Spotify.
Real quick, here's the 10 that I think are better. Clockwork Angels, Vapor Trails, either one.
No.
Remix or
No.
original.
No.
Test for Echo, Counterparts,
Okay.
wait.
Roll the Bones, Hold Your
No.
Fire, Power Windows, Grace
What?
Under Pressure, Hemispheres, A Farewell to Kings.
Those what you think are better?
Hold on.
I do. And I'm not saying a Moving Pictures is bad. I'm not saying it's far below these. I think it's pretty close. I think
Dude,
those
hold
10 are
your
better.
Hold Your Fire is literally just 3 red balls on a red screen. Like what?
And that
you
would
think
sell for
that's better?
millions of dollars
That's
at a
better?
modern art fair, Nick.
Maybe in NFTs. Because these crypto bros just don't care. Like what? That?
Yes, that. There's something to be said about simplicity.
There's something to be said about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too good.
Side note, I do got to say the Moving Pictures 40th Anniversary Deluxe album cover, not
That's
bad.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
It's pretty
It is
awesome.
pretty-
It's pretty dope.
Yeah. We'll do one last one to wrap
I
it
would
up.
argue that that's better, honestly.
Ooh,
What?
Me too.
Only because it has the Signals dog on it.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because that came after, but I
Right.
do like it. I do like it better. Yeah.
All right. One last one to wrap it up. It'll be an easy one that everyone can agree with. Test for Echo walked so Vapor Trails could run. Ryder,
Great take.
Todd,
Yeah, great take. I like that too.
Alex.
If we're going based on the linear motion that is time, I'm gonna say great take. If we're not, then I'll debate it. But I think we're just moving off of time. So
Perhaps I should clarify. Test for Echo sucks and Vapor Trails is amazing.
great take.
Thank you.
Great take.
Is that what I agreed to?
Yeah. Had to get the resident
Worst.
Test for Echo defender to agree to that.
Worst host ever.
Hey, I have no problem. I fully agree with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you want to reconsider, Ryder?
So the it's now Test for
You-
Echo
you
sucks.
changed
Vapor
the-
Trails rules.
So, okay, here's the deal. Test for Echo sucks, but it had to suck so that Vapor Trails could be awesome.
No, let's debate it. I mean, you have to judge the albums on their own merits. Sure, you could argue that, Test for Echo being the last album about Test for Echo being the last thing before Vapor Trails, before the hiatus happens. Sure, maybe that album being a little underwhelming to some made that return so big. So I guess great take in that sense, but the idea that Test for Echo sucking is why Vapor Trails is so good, no.
Because in my opinion, that sonically they're very similar. They both get away from using
Yeah.
synths more or less. They're both
Mhm.
loud. They're both way more in your face than anything in the late 80s, early 90s was. But the songs are just so dramatically better on Vapor Trails than they were on Test for Echo. And so you had to have Test for Echo to get to Vapor Trails. Who's next? Adam, I guess.
Adam, let's debate on both premises, because Test for Echo is an excellent album, and
if you say so,
which I do, and because of the nature of the hiatus, there's not really any of that that carryover as far as creative direction. We're talking about, approaching a decade of no collaboration, and you have Neil right before the tragedy strikes. He's kind of at the height of his drum study, because he's begun studying with Freddie Gruber, and he's changed his technique, and he's kind of reinvented himself. And then when he's back in Vapor Trails, back in the studio, he's just having to relearn and get himself back up to a place where he feels comfortable performing again. And so I think, I don't think there's a continuity. I don't think Vapor Trails required the creative stepping stone, as alluded to in your first statement. And then the second statement, I think, is just not true, because the technicality and the ideas that they were pushing forth in Test for Echo encapsulated the era that they were creating music in. And while it might not be someone's favorite sound, I think both albums are very representative of the time that they were created.
Interesting. Ryan?
I'm going to say let's debate. I mean, to me, they're not parallels musically or lyrically or whatever, but in terms of how good they are, I think they're both. I will defend both of those records, mainly Test for Echo, because it needs it a little bit more. At least needs a little bit more defending. But I don't know. I don't think Test for Echo sucks. I don't think Vapor Trails is phenomenal or anything like that. I don't think Test for Echo needed to walk for Vapor Trails to run, and I think that that was the longest period, 5 years between albums to that point. And to me, Vapor Trails is on a completely different. Neil was in a completely different mindset. The band was in a completely different. They're a lot of people compare them because, like, okay, they're much harder rock albums. They went back to their roots with Counterparts and all that. But to me, I think they're pretty different, and I think they're both really good.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, I couldn't debate with you more. So your first or your second, whatever, your first or second premise, Vapor Trails. So about half of Test for Echo is awesome in my opinion. The other half is eh. I feel the exact same way about Vapor Trails. So I can't put one above the other, for being honest. With the caveat being that I think Test for Echo is one of their best studio sounding albums. I actually really enjoy the studio versions of the song. Vapor Trails, even the recording, I'm sorry, I need to listen to the live versions of those songs, especially like One Little Victory. I got to hear that live. But no, I totally disagree with you. Test for Echo, to me, was a sign that it was time for the band to take a break and that they needed a break. Now, I'm not saying the break was good and it's awful that the break had to happen. It really is. But what came out of that was Geddy went off into his own solo album, and you can hear traces. I'm telling you, My Favorite Headache, that song could be on Vapor Trails, in my opinion. You can hear elements of the My Favorite Headache album in Vapor Trails. You can also hear, obviously, the lyrics and the tone of the album directly from Neil's pain he was going through, from what was going on in the world. Remember, that album got recorded in 2001 or 2002, right around 9/11. So, like,
which one? My Favorite Headache?
No. Vapor Trails.
Oh yeah, 2000.
Yes,
it was recorded in 2001. Yeah, put out in 2002.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the point is, they couldn't be far. we say this often where records lead into other records. Like you can hear how like Vapor Trails kind of leads into Signals, and the end of Signals kind of leads into Grace Under Pressure.
Moving Pictures, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get Carve Away the Stone sounds like Time to Take a Break, in my opinion. I hear that song, I'm like, time to take a break. You guys are way better songwriters than this. Not that it's terrible, but time to take a break. Come back 5 years later with a bang. So could not disagree more with you on that.
Can I just add something? So I agree with Nick on most of that, other than the fact I do think it was them for time for them to take a break, but I don't feel that Test for Echo was just. A lot of people say that they were out of ideas. I don't feel that way at all with Test for Echo. There is a theme there. There is a hidden theme there. Go watch the Test for Echo deep dive. I'm not trying to plug our deep dive series, but I'm trying to educate people on Test for Echo. Ryder was on it. Donna was on it. Mm-hmm. Donna spoke of this. Test for Echo has meaning. Maybe energy-wise and family-wise and all that, it was time for them to take a break. But songwriting-wise, Test for Echo is solid. And I think if you really take the time to understand that.
Yeah, maybe if you take out a microscope and a magnifying glass and a telescope, whatever else you might be able to find the meaning somewhere in there.
Hey, I'm just saying I agree with Ryan on what he just said mostly. I just think that they could have done a better job with a few of the songs, but I agree with that they did actually put some effort into it. It wasn't like they just were like, because there's some bangers on there.
Yeah.
A couple, maybe, I guess.
And the tour afterwards is fantastic.
Of course, naturally. So I guess we're doing a couple more. We're gonna do
no more Test for Echo. I'm gonna have to change the title to this. Eric dumps on Test for Echo for 50 minutes.
I had to take the opportunity.
Yeah, what are you doing?
All right, so a little bit of a thought experiment. So Permanent Waves was released on January 14th, 1980. The 70s versus 80s debate would be settled by which decade Permanent Waves falls in. If it were released 3 weeks earlier in the 70s would be better. Because it was released January of 1980, the 80s are better. What do you think, Ryder?
So wait, you're asking me if Permanent Waves was released in the 70s, then the 70s would just be better than the 80s by default?
Yes.
Let's debate. I think the 70s and the 80s are such stark differences from each other because, 70s, other than the first 2 albums, is really filled with just great long form epics, while the 80s has a bit more tighter songs, shorter songs, but they really focus on just like solid tracks that are just condensed ideas. If you put Permanent Waves bunched in with the 70s, that's going to kind of throw that whole vibe off a little bit. It's going to be, Growing Pains albums, big epics, commercial album. And then the 80s is just more commercial albums. It kind of like leave that weird taste. So that's where I'm at.
Interesting. Don?
Let's debate. I agree with what Ryder just said, but I also think that for me, Permanent Waves to Hold Your Fire is my favorite Rush era, hands down. And so moving pictures into the 70s doesn't make the 70s better than the 80s for me.
Okay. Alex?
Permanent Waves, all right. Never mind. Todd, you said moving. You said.
Did I say the wrong record?
You said moving pictures into the 70s.
I meant to say Permanent Waves. Yeah, you moved Permanent Waves.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. I just wanted to clarify for the viewers.
It doesn't make the 70s win.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna debate it. Agree with Ryder and Todd, but I'll add that Chronicles. I love listening to that. I have it. It's been in my car literally since I got that car, and I love 70s Rush. Farewell to Kings, my second favorite album, but Power Windows is my favorite. So I love the 80s the most. And Chronicles ends on Spirit of Radio, side part 1. Part 2 begins with Tom Sawyer. Honestly, my biggest problem with that is that it ends on Spirit of Radio and Free Will. I think they could have gone on to side 2, and I probably would have enjoyed the vibe of that a little more.
That's an interesting point. Adam?
Yeah, let's debate. I'm very similar to what's already been said, but I think if you're thinking of the, compartmentalizing by decade, I think that Hemispheres was such an incredible closer to that era of what they were doing musically, that if you're trying to lump in Permanent Waves with that, it is such a tonal shift that I think it would have made the 70s more of a head scratching era than anything else. Whereas it being in the 80s makes everything that happened in the 80s make more sense. And as far as which one is better, I think it's so subjective that it's, I don't necessarily agree with the premise of the question as far as moving a single album would make one better or not. I think you still have to figure out where your subjective opinion lies as to what makes one decade better than the other.
That's a fair point. Ryan?
Let's debate, and there's a couple things here. So, first of all, Permanent Waves is like, it was released right at the perfect time, and I mentioned this on the Permanent Waves deep dive, which will come out next week. That it's literally the perfect transitional album from the 70s into the 80s. It was both musically, because it sounds a little bit like Hemispheres and a little bit like Moving Pictures, but it also was recorded in the 70s and released in the 80s, right? I don't think that moving Permanent Waves, if maybe let's say it was released a year prior or whatever, to actually fully be in the 70s, I still think the 80s is better.
Okay. Nick?
I would just like to invite everybody to go back about a year or so ago to when my boy Tim and I won the 70s versus 80s debate, when we absolutely destroyed Ryan. And I don't remember who else was with them, honestly, because we own them. So it was great.
I think it was Jerry. Shout out Jerry.
The 70s was just, fantastic. So watch that debate, honestly, and I think you'll know my opinion on the 70s versus 80s. As for Permanent Waves, to be honest, at the end of the day, I think Moving Pictures and Permanent Waves go so good with the rest of their albums before Moving Pictures. I love that on the 40th anniversary of the Moving Pictures album, you can actually listen to the recordings of the Rush Exit Stage Left DVD as opposed to the Exit Stage album. The song is just wonderful. You get to hear my favorite rendition of In the End. Just fantastic. So I can't say great take or debate.
Well, I will clarify, if you want to go back to this debate from a year ago, you said that you consider Permanent Waves a 70s album to begin
That's
with.
right, I do, yes. And part of that is because the 1979 Super Bowl, won by the Pittsburgh Steelers, that was played in January of 1980, the same month that Permanent Waves. So the 1979 Super Bowl is technically in January of 1980. Therefore, Permanent Waves is technically a part of the 70s.
Which makes it the better decade.
There you go.
Because I'm sure we all agree Permanent Waves is the best Rush album. Next take.
It's a good plug for next week's deep dive. Thanks, Eric.
Far Cry is dramatically overrated. Ryder.
Dramatically overrated. Oh shit.
Dramatically overrated. Great take.
Todd.
Great take.
Alex.
Let's debate. Wrong.
Okay. Adam.
Let's debate. I can see where you're coming from with that, because I don't know if I would necessarily give that to someone as saying, oh, you have to listen to this song. This is the epic Rush. You have to, this will define Rush for you. So from that angle, I can see why I can agree if that's what you're talking about. But as far as for a Rush listener getting that new album coming out, I think Far Cry was something that showed that they've done it again. And I think so for me, yeah, maybe overplayed, but I love everything that it stood for, and I love that, you know, Alex is bringing back the hemispheres chord, and just all the little nods to their discography wrapped up in that. Plus, Getty has one of the best vocal snippets when he's towards the end, when he just has that little wow 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 type stuff. So I don't agree that it's
so you might say it's slightly overrated, but you wouldn't say
no,
dramatically
I don't know if I would use the term overrated. I think some people get a little bit too hyped about it and try to place it too far, but I don't think overall it's overrated.
Okay, Ryan.
No, let's debate. I don't. Well, Adam said overplayed. I don't think it's played enough. This song should be on the freaking radio. This song is the best song of the 2000s, and it is top 1 or 2 of the 90s and the 2000s. Like, this song should be on radio. This song should get radio play like nonstop. I mean, this song could be on freaking Ozzy's Boneyard over some of the other
breaking out into
stuff.
cold sweats with the way you're talking, Ryan. Goodness.
I used to not like Far Cry that much either. Like, but no, I think, yeah, I don't. It's not dramatically overrated. It's not even overrated. This song is phenomenal Rush track.
And let me clarify, just as far as being overplayed, I don't mean by radio, because obviously I think it should be on.
You just mean by like Rush fans?
Yeah, just by Rush fans, like people that I'm around. Sometimes they'll play it more than other.
Well, I mean, I guess so. Okay, objectively, on Snakes and Arrows, I think it's the best song. Subjectively, there's songs I like more. That makes any sense? That's like the whole objectively. I think Moving Pictures is the best album. Subjectively, I like other ones, but absolutely not.
Do you think it was better or worse when played live?
I think it was just as freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It's way worse.
It's
way
a shame
worse.
there's no like real solo in it, right? That's kind of a shame, but no, I don't think it's
whatever. Nick, you seem like you have something to say.
Do you remember the fireworks when they would play that live every single concert after it came out, just like Tom Sawyer?
Yeah.
Do you remember the return of the Hemispheres chord?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you recall?
I went back and listened to the return of the Hemispheres
drumming.
chord, I suppose.
Neil's fantastic drumming. Do you recall the incredible guitar riff? Do you recall Getty's vocals? Do you recall the music video? Do you recall the resurgence of the band? Because Vapor Trails was not the big return. No. Like 2112 of Moving Pictures, like Ryan has said before. Snakes and Arrows was the big pinnacle album because they went on Colbert Report after that. They blew up after that. Their friggin' ticket prices doubled in price after that, which pissed me off because it was expensive. I was in college when I saw Time Machine tour. Far Cry is underrated. You are wrong, Eric.
You know what Far Cry is? Far Cry is the what you're doing of Snakes and Arrows.
God.
That's what that is.
Can I real quick give an actual point instead of just calling him wrong?
Yes.
It is the one. Well, it's one of the few Rush songs. If I play at work, my coworker actually gets a little happy to hear because he really likes it. This is not a guy who listens to like I'll mention any band from like the 70s or 80s. He'll just say who. Doesn't know.
Must be
Doesn't
some
know
kind
him,
of
right?
simpleton.
He's
Who?
like
Like
he
Bob
likes
O'Reilly, who or
he likes this like modern music, whatever that is. But
Flame Spirit of Radio then, making modern music.
I have. He does enjoy that one, but he actually like gets into Far Cry, and I see him actually like jamming out to it.
Maybe that speaks to my argument rather than against it.
Do you?
Well, yeah, but I jam out to it too, and I love it as well.
What'd you say, Nick?
Remember the baby grabbing the snake? You're wrong, Eric. You're wrong.
Thank you, Nick.
All right. Well, we'll wrap there. Let us let us know what you think of Eric's moderation of this episode and his hot takes. Let us know, which ones you agree with, which ones you don't agree with. If you want to come on an episode of Rush Roundtable, rushroundtable@gmail.com is how you can reach out. Next week we got another fun one next week. So we'll see y'all then. Take care, everybody.